It's a beautiful sunny day. It's almost noon. We're charged up to 100%. We're going to go do some exploring around some history, around the river, and then go find a new charger that's opening up this afternoon in southern Minnesota. Let's hit the road. On the road a little late. That's why we ended up all the way at 100%. But save a couple minutes, the navigation had us go north and across the Mississippi River, and now we are headed down the east bank through the bluffs in Wisconsin. And it looks like we're going to be in Pepin at about 1:32. Right now it's estimating 62%. Beautiful day for a drive. The plan is to visit the Laura Ingalls Wilder Museum there. It's where they lived, or here where they lived when she was born. If you've read The Little House in the Big Woods, this is that location. Or again, if you're by it, we'll find out more when we're there. I don't know all the details yet, but since we've read the books, we're doing some exploring of those sites this summer, and it's a great opportunity to get out and see different parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin that we've never seen before. After that, we're going to head southwest, cross back into Minnesota, and we are possibly going to visit a state park. We'll see how our timing works out. But a little after 3, we want to be in Stewartville, Minnesota, and get ready for a new charger opening, the Kwik Charge network for Quick Trip gas stations. They are opening up more stations around the area. I guess there's quite a few in Wisconsin, a couple in Minnesota, I think, already. We're going to meet Jay from Wisconsin with EV at the end instead of IN. His YouTube channel, he covers a lot of these quick charge stations. We'll know a lot more about it. We've done some communication online. It'll be nice to meet him. Some other people are going to meet us down there, and should be fun getting to see a new charger. And especially after having gone to Dubuque quite a few times in the last year, it's going to be nice to have more options coming south from the cities headed that way. So should be a fun day. Cool. We're going to keep it easy, relax. Ideally, with our 100% charge in Burnsville, we're still at 72%, saying we'll get to the Laura Ingalls Wilder Museum at 62%. That should leave us plenty to get all the way down to Stewartville, and that should be our only charge during the event. We'll see how that goes. I'll plan that leg once we're at the museum. Lots of hawks and eagles along the river here. I don't know if I'll be able to get a good shot of one, but again, if we have time to stop at some of these parks, and I think there's an Eagle Center down here, if we can stop at some of that stuff along the way, we will. But like I said, we get a little later start than I wanted, so it's all kind of up in the air. We're just having fun listening to old Superman radio broadcasts from must be the 40s, post-World War II, and we got a big motorcycle rally happening here, so that's cool. They look like they're having a fun time. And we're just driving through the beautiful bluff. We'll see you in Pepin along the big river.
The Adventures of Superman.
That's a pretty view. As we were headed south down the eastern shore, got into Pepin, and then there was a sign that said Laura Ingalls' birthplace is 7 miles down this road. So we're going to check that out first. Then if we don't have time to do the full museum thing, then we'll at least have seen this and make a plan from there. But kind of cooler to see the actual location than a museum. And we can always make another trip over here. It's an easy day trip. We could have a picnic and watch the eagles. We'll just play it by ear today. All right, we are by the Little House Wayside at 59% at 146, 78 degrees. Looks like gone 87.3 miles, 279.5 watt hours per mile, so pretty good, relatively efficient. We're gonna check this out. Get a house like this? What do you think? That's the bedroom. All five slept in here. Ceiling is just 2 or 3 inches over my head. These beams. They're probably about 6 feet. We just left the little house in the big woods, now in a field, but still pretty cool. Obviously it's a recreation, but it was fun to walk around there and just kind of be in that place. We hung out for enough time for Joan to have the sandwich. We looked through the house, a little bit of the displays. There's another whole museum in town that we'll have to come back and visit another time. We'll jump to that trip now, a couple weeks later, and after our time in Pepin, we'll get back to the road trips and stats. I'll do my best to make it all make sense in the end. But now we're on FSD 14 Lite and my Hardware 3 Model Y as it pulls us into the Laura Ingalls Wilder Museum in downtown Pepin. We came down the road here, and with traffic coming, we pulled right in to this spot and did a really nice job lining us up square in it. So, really impressed with that. Joan, are you ready for the museum? All right, let's go. The museum is in 2 sections, one featuring the family and local people of that time specifically, with an organ, farm and kitchen displays, as well as period clothes. A highlight for me was seeing a letter Laura's older sister Mary wrote from her time at the School for the Blind later in life. The other section focuses on Pepin more broadly and touches on the classic TV show. Between the sections is a large gift shop with books, dresses, and other cool stuff. Joan had a good time and left with a couple 50-cent each penny candies. From there, we went back north up the road in town to a park with a historical marker, which turned out to be fairly generic, but the park was fun. Wanna try that really big slide? That's like the kind they had when Dad was little. After a quick look at the closed Pepin Depot, we were back on the road, and here's where we'll return to the previous trip for a strange routing choice. And now we are headed north-northwest, and I'm guessing that's to get us to another bridge to get over the Mississippi, but we're kind of going in the opposite way of Stewartville, so I'm hoping we're not headed this way too long. We were supposed to be meeting no later than 3:45, and it's now saying we'll get there at 3:39, so gonna try to pick up the pace a little bit and try to not be too rushed when we're there, but this was really cool. I'm glad we stopped. Saying we'll get to Stewartville with, said 20%, now it's saying 18%. As long as we're above 0 and the chargers work there, we should be in good shape. We are working our way through Rochester, head south. Say we've got 15 minutes and we'll arrive at 3:36 p.m. So a little later than I wanted to get there, but not so bad. We've been having some spirited driving to make up a little time, but we're still going to arrive with 17%. No issues there. I'll get plugged in here and we can take a closer look at the chargers and the station. Nice that the station allows for pulling in or backing in depending on your vehicle and open stalls. Each pedestal has both NACS handle and CCS, but only supports use by one at a time. The directions are large, obvious, and easy to follow, so we plug in first. Then there are several ways to pay: RFID, mobile app, QR code, or credit card. As far as I know, the price is the same no matter which you use, so I went with a simple credit card, just like getting gas across the parking lot. Payment processed fairly quickly, and the handshake with the car took 28 seconds from acceptance to charging. Not amazing, but acceptable. Alright, you can tell we're at 17%, but can't tell how much longer it's going to take. Soon we were getting 188 kilowatts and hitting the 500 amp limit. I just checked how much we need to get home, and we'd already get home with 12%. So I'll give it a little more just because we're here and show someone being plugged in. Okay, I got to talking, and we're already at 88%. So 21 bucks, 45 cents a kilowatt hour really isn't bad. Still doing 33 kilowatts, which actually for 88 isn't so bad. Somebody might be interested in that. Well, we had a really nice time down at the Kwik Charge location in Stewartville. Nice that that's open. We got a good quick charge, and that happened so fast that by the time I was paying attention again, we were at 88%. Something ridiculous. I can't remember what it was, but so it was cool to catch up with Lisa there, and nice to meet Jay in person. Nice of them both to come out and be interviewed, so that was cool. Things kind of turned cloudy and windy while we were at the charger, and continued clouds now. Saying we're going to get home at about 8:21, so hopefully we'll be pulling into a beautiful sunset by the time we get there. And it's June 27th, so we're still in that stretch of long days of the summer, which is glorious. This is a really nice day. Julie was fantastic while we were at the event. She was playing and eating snacks. Since we overcharged, we're going to get home with 46%, which is ridiculous because we paid extra, right? But good to give the new chargers a shakedown, and it's always a beautiful drive on this road from Rochester back up to the Twin Cities. Home with 46% at 8:20. Interestingly, just the last couple miles, we've got a warning that none of the cameras are available. So I hope that's just a glitch that resets when I restart. Our trip today was 256.9 miles, so 257, 280.5 watt hours per mile, so pretty darn efficient for this vehicle, but 78 degrees now. It's been pleasant and a little breezy toward the end, but pretty good all in all day. Since our last charge down in Stewartville, we've gone 88.2 miles and 262.9 watt-hours per mile. We'll wrap up in the studio, put everything together. So that was trip 1, but since then we'd gone down to the Eagle Center as a family, but since there was no charging, I didn't bother recording it. And then trip 2 down to Pepin again about a week later. And I won't bore you with all the details and following the roads and everything that you've just seen, but we hit a couple unique new chargers that I want to share, and we fixed that navigation quirk. So let's jump into the start of trip 2 as we head down to some new ChargePoint chargers that went in Lakeville, Minnesota. Well, we've had a few other chargers open up around our house. A Walmart location up by the airport in Bloomington, Minnesota just opened up. So we checked that out this morning. And then this afternoon on our way to Pepin, because we're down to now 63%, it made sense to drive through Lakeville, which is south of us, down Interstate 35, and check out the new ChargePoint chargers that I think are pretty powerful, new technology stuff. So we'll check that out. We'll plug in for a few minutes, see what we get. That'll bump us up back to get out to Pepin and back. I haven't really mapped that out today, not worried about it, but we'll get a few minutes at the ChargePoint, and after the museum we'll see if we're feeling ambitious and see if we want to run further south, go down to Albert Lea and check out the old V2 station that's now been updated to a V3.5 Tesla Supercharger. So it's a very flexible day, but we're having fun on a Friday afternoon. Joan, are you ready for adventures? All right. We are here in Lakeville, 60%, 212. Let's see if this will work. Pretty windy here, and the screens were hard to read in person and really flickering in the camera, so it's voiceovers and screenshots for the details here. Not far off the highway, and there's a McDonald's and Subway nearby, as well as the Holiday gas station for restrooms. I've got the ChargePoint app for previous level 2 charging, so it was a quick tap of the phone to activate. Then choosing the NAX handle and plugging in. Charging started pretty quickly, and as I said, the glare on the screen made it almost impossible to read. But they're 125 kilowatt shared power units. And we did get a pop-up message I didn't capture saying that our speed was limited by the vehicle, which makes sense starting at 60% and no preconditioning. We were getting around 75 kilowatts early, then down to 69 kilowatts by 62%, so not ideal. I shot a little B-roll, then sat in the car and made a plan for the rest of the day. I was thinking we'd go to 82 or 84%, but then I realized, oh, charging complete because I had it set to 80. Oh, that's stupid, so we probably stayed here a couple minutes plugged in when I didn't notice. Smart, Brian. So, time to unplug, and again, I couldn't really read the screen, so saw that the total was $8.53, but couldn't see the pricing details until I put some flickering screenshots together at home and saw they're charging 2 ways. 60 cents a kilowatt hour for energy, but also a station rate of $2 an hour. So our $8.53 total comes out to a comparable charge of a little over 64 cents a kilowatt hour. Pretty spendy for anything other than an experiment or an emergency. Well, the chargers worked. I'm glad they're there. Looked like they were kind of expensive, although we were there for about 18 minutes. I think it was probably charging for maybe 15. Didn't precondition, so not an ideal charging session, but it's there, it works, and you could get better results if you showed up lower in the pack and prepared. I'm probably not going to use it much because costs close to my home, and there are getting to be so many superchargers around that's just a little bit easier, but I'm glad it's there. It's a good spot, easy off the highway, and lots of stuff around it. So for other EV drivers especially, and now as more people are getting NAX ports on their cars, it's always good to have more charging. We crossed the river from scenic Red Wing into Wisconsin and arrived at the museum, which you've already seen. But here are the stats as we arrived this time. In downtown Pepin at 407, 48% so far on the trip. Saying we've gone 87.9 miles, so 88 miles. 251.3 watt-hours per mile is very good for this car. And now we'll be on our way down to Stewartville the way I thought we would go on trip 1. We'll make a pit stop there for a couple quick charge kilowatts, then check out the refurbished Tesla site in Albert Lea. We are now heading out from Pepin. It's 5:21. We had a nice time. It's both a museum of Pepin and also of Little House, Laura Ingalls stuff. Pretty interesting. You would definitely want to pair it with a trip out to the cabin. And then there was a little park that had like a historical marker. That was just a fun little playground, so we hit that after the museum. Joan, did you like the museum? Joan colored some pretty pictures, so we've got that. And now we are headed to Stewartville. This time heading south and east, which made a lot more sense. Pretty drive either way, though. We're at the Stewartville Kwik Charge again at 628, 13%. Since our charge up in Lakeville, we've gone 141 miles. So far, since we left home, 152. Our current drive was only 64 miles from Pepin, but overall, relatively efficient on all of those. Our drive from Pepin was faster speeds once we got on the interstate, and we had to climb out of the river valley. So didn't precondition coming here, but we just are going to get a couple minutes. It was going to have a stop in Rochester at a Supercharger to get to Albert Lea. So we're going to just stop here for a couple minutes and eat some food. 45 cents a kilowatt hour isn't terrible. We're going to plug in first to start. And then I'm going to just use the card reader. And there we go. So we're rolling. We're going to Kwik Trip, grab some food. It's 6:49 p.m. $16.47, so kind of spendy, but whatever. It worked. So we got up to 68%. Not bad. I tried to move faster, but no dice. But let's check out the new charger in Albert Lea. Say we can get there in 46 minutes, and we'll get there with 42%. So again, still wouldn't need a charge, but we'll plug in for a couple minutes there. I like wasting money, apparently. Well, that turned into a long stop. We had to do bathroom stuff. Joan needed a snack because we still haven't really eaten dinner. So she had a Uncrustable, had to get her shoes and socks back on, went into Kwik Trip, got a double bacon cheeseburger from the heater tray, $8.55. I think the sticker says it's going to expire at 7. So, like Cinderella, I have to move fast. We'll see how it is. I'll let you know. Food review coming up. We got 43 minutes to Albert Lea. Obviously, we could just go home. We've got 67% or whatever we left there with, so no need to really go here, but we're going to check it out, and then we won't have to come down here for a special trip just to check it out. 42 minutes now, and in the meantime, I'm going to tackle this sweet beast. Verdict on the burger was actually pretty good. Quite a bit more meat than I expected. The bun was starting to get a little stale, but it was alright. I was expecting something pretty low quality and gross. It was fine. You know, nothing to write home about, but like I said, more meat than I expected. The bacon was pretty thin, but burger patties were decent size. I'd get it again in a pinch. No complaints. It was under $5. That works too. Albert Lea at 40%, 737, 74 degrees. The last drive was only 50 miles since our last charge, 50 miles. And overall so far, 202 miles. Let's plug in. 24 kilowatts, 26, we're climbing up. Not bad for 40%. And the price is right at 39 cents a kilowatt hour. This site in the overflow parking area for the travel center was originally a V2 site, maxing out at 150 kilowatts for Teslas only in the 8 stalls. Convenient, but a disappointment at the time as V3 stations were already rolling out elsewhere. I think this was Minnesota's last V2. Now, as the V4s are starting to roll out, this has been upgraded to a 3.5 station supporting other EVs with NACS or CCS with Magic Dock, up to 325 kilowatts on all 16 pedestals. So a major upgrade, but still not quite the new hotness, as the kids say. Getting a lot of use though, which is good to see, and across the lot there's also been an upgrade to the CHAdeMO and CCS units from Zeph Energy with a nice new ChemPower pedestal. They also host 2 Clipper Creek Level 2 connectors if you want to post up and hang out longer. Maybe these would be handy for employees? Still, more charging options off the highway are good to see. Alright, that got us up to 76% after running in and getting some food and chatting with our neighbors who are from Montana, coming back from Chicago, and nice to see them enjoying their trip. So that was 9:17 and way more than we need to get home. Alright, just taking off from Albert Lea. Good charge there. Kind of unnecessary, but we did it. Nice that there's 16 chargers there now. All version 3.5, so longer cables. Should be decent charging rates for most vehicles. Saying we'll be home in 1 hour and 8 minutes. Just running up 35 here. We're just going to cruise on to Burnsville. If anything exciting happens, I'll let you know. We got home a couple minutes ago, but it's now 9:10. We got here with 36%, which as usual is way too much because charging is way cheaper at home. Last drive was 81.3 miles, an average watt-hour per mile of 296.6, which is pretty good for doing about 80 miles an hour that whole time. Overall today, we went 284.1 miles over 5 hours. The time feature might be new, but we did the whole trip at 294.2 watt hours per mile. So, all right. And lifetime, we're at 143,543 miles, a lifetime average of just under 300 watt hours per mile. So pretty good. A quick look at these trips side by side and you'll see the benefit of charging at home before you depart. Leaving with 100% on trip 1 versus 66% on trip 2 meant that even though there were less than 30 miles difference in distance, it resulted in significantly more time and cost charging on the road. However, part of trip 2 was exploring new chargers and intentionally not taking the fastest route home. In both cases, we ended up overcharging and returned home with 46% on trip 1 and 36% on trip 2. So we could have been more frugal if we had moved faster. Regardless, it's great to see more chargers coming online and being upgraded, and always good to get a little history along the way too. We've got another short trip coming soon where we're going to stop at a couple of the other new Kwik Charge locations in Minnesota. So like and subscribe so you won't miss that one and another ridiculous project I've got coming up. But in the meantime, thanks for watching, have a great day, and happy road tripping.